Hello, my name is Melinda, and this is the third episode of my knitting podcast. Welcome back to anyone who has caught one of my previous episodes, or if you're new here, hello, happy that you have come to watch. This is a podcast where I talk all about my knitting, my new designing ventures, and any yarn acquisition or other things that I want to chat about. So I hope that you're here for some yarny goodness, and if so, then I can deliver that for you. What we have today to discuss is a newly finished object, which you might be able to spot. One nearly finished object, a couple little whip updates, and then a couple new cast-ons, and a little bit of new yarn. So lots and lots to chat about. But before we get into all of that, I wanted to start off by having a bit of an interesting intro. So my family is very, very supportive of this new venture into the YouTube world of knitting podcasts. And one of my three sisters thought that it might be a good idea for me to come up with some kind of catchphrase. And she so very generously offered a handful of ideas. And I thought some of you might appreciate those, so let me just read them off for you. So yes, I think you may need a snappy catchphrase at the beginning. And here are the examples that she brainstormed. First off, ahoy knitterinos and assorted members of my creepily supportive family. Another option is, hey there all you cool cats and mittens. Up next is, what's up close knit fam bam. Howdy you fellow yarn and math nerds. So those people that also like math, special hello to you. And the last one, the last one is long time no skeen. Very nice. Okay, then, the extra bonus idea is that anyone who subscribes can be known as whippersnappers, WIP, whippersnappers. So some very good content, recommendations from my sister. Thank you very much for that, and I guess we'll see next episode if any of them will stick. Oh man. Alright, so let's get into the actual knitting content here. I will talk about what I'm wearing, which is also my finished object for today. So this is the lightweight raglan pullover, pretty heavily modified, from Purl Soho. I'll put the designer's actual name here as well. So this is my version of the modified lightweight raglan pullover. I'll stand up a little bit so you can see. It's a pretty basic raglan, actually knit from the bottom up. Pretty boxy shape, but I will go through kind of my process and all the modifications that I made. So first off, the yarn. I knit this using Montana Crochet 100% superwash merino in 2 skeins of her one-of-a-kind colorway that I got from one of those sales from her a little while back. So my vision here was to use up those couple of skeins and make kind of just a simple t-shirt. I wasn't seeing any pattern that I was super intrigued by, and then I looked through Purl Soho's free patterns, spotted the lightweight raglan pullover, which is initially knit in linen quill fingering weight, and it has full-length sleeves and everything, but I thought I would just modify it into more of a tee and go from there. So the way that the pattern has you do it is knitting, I think they have you knit the sleeves first, and this is also a free pattern, so they have you knit the sleeves first and then knit the body, join everything in the round, decrease up to the neckline, and then come back to Kitchener the underarms together. So I skipped doing the sleeves to start and just cast on the body right away. There's short row shaping on the bottom to kind of get that scoopy shape in both the front and the back of the garment. And the cast on method that you use is just a basic cast on, and then they have you do this little like fold welt guy. And I talked in a previous episode about how it was rolling quite a bit, and honestly, even after washing and blocking, it is still rolling a lot on the bottom, but it's not too bad and doesn't like hurt the function of the garment, so I'm okay with it. And then yes, so knit bottom up, and then once you got to this point, you were meant to attach the sleeves, but since I hadn't done the sleeves, I ended up just doing a provisional cast on using the crochet method for the number of stitches that I should have for the sleeves, and then joined that all together and knit the raglan up using the decreasing and everything, and then going into the short rows. And then the neckline as well as the sleeves are meant to have that same kind of like welt, kind of somewhat unfinished edge, but I modified that as well and just did a folded collar, just a really tiny one, so it is still rolling a bit. I'm thinking that I could put just a little piece of elastic in there to hold everything together a bit better. I didn't have any thin enough elastic on hand though, so I'll have to pick something up and see if that's what I want to do. And then, I guess they have you do wrap and turn short rows at the top, which I actually did do. I usually modify my patterns just to use German short rows because it's my preferred method, but I thought I would just go for the wrap and turns, and I feel like they are a lot more visible than German short rows. So I probably will continue to replace that in the future, but you don't know till you try. Okay, then the sleeves, I picked up where I'd provisionally cast on, knit just a couple rounds, and then did a 2-stitch I-cord bind off to see if I could help from the rolling. It really didn't. This is rolling as well. Everything is, despite the fact that this is washed and blocked and I pinned everything down, but regardless of that, it's still rolling. But I think it still looks nice. It serves the purpose of what I wanted out of this garment, which is just something easy to throw on. So yes, I'm happy with the finished product. Of course, a handful of details that I don't love for everything, but I think it works, so we're just gonna roll with it. She's done. My heavily modified lightweight raglan pullover. Coffee break, and then on to the next. Alrighty. So I guess a couple things I'll touch on quick but not really show. My alley sweater hasn't been touched much. I had finished the first sleeve as of last week and then just need to finish up the second sleeve, but nothing really to show there, so I'll just pretty much skip that for this time. But by next time I'm hoping to have that completed, so hopefully that will be my finished object then. And then the other item was the pair to this sock that I had discovered while recording last time that I had cast on incorrectly and was doing 1x1 ribbing where this is 2x2. So I did recast on, and I have just a little bit done. So about the same as you saw last time, but in the proper ribbing format. So yes, these socks are nothing that I have any sort of deadline. It's just picking up when I'm in the car, but I haven't had a ton of passenger riding in the last week, so not too much progress on that one. Okay, this one, I'm very excited. Okay, this I had shown last episode and I was almost done with the body, but now I have finished the body and both sleeves, and this body and everything has been washed and blocked. Here is the hem. Hold on, I'll hold it up, see if this will work. Ta-da! 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 Yay! Okay, so I may have just exposed myself. I've made a grave error. And I'm kind of sad about it. It's not too bad, but it is noticeable. Can you tell? Can you spot it? Also, I'll just hold it up so I can smell my wool wash. I did not manage my yarn very well. And we have this line right across the yoke where the dye lots switched, and I didn't do anything to mitigate that, having that really aggressive line across the center of the garment. So that's a bit of a bummer, but I'm in love with this nonetheless, and I will wear it nonetheless. However, this is a new design that I'm working on, so I'm thinking I'll probably need to create another sample that does not mix dye lots or that manages it a lot better. I honestly just didn't realize I had different dye lots and I didn't pay attention, and I think I was just like too excited about it, and so then I had run right through the whole darn thing. And then after the fact, I looked and I said, oh boy. And then it was laying in the basement, and I talked to my husband about it, and I was like, I did a bad thing, a rookie mistake, and I'm kind of embarrassed by it, but I did nothing to prevent it from happening. Oh well. And then he saw it. He's like, oh yeah, I noticed that. And I was like, cool. So yes, but regardless, I'm super excited about how it turned out, minus my little color block effect. So yes, this is a design in the works. I don't have a name for it yet, so if you have any thoughts, send them my way. Corrugated ribbing for the neckline into a nice raglan, and then the sleeves have just 1x1 color work to do the little stripes at the bottom, and then the cuff I've bound off with a 2-stitch I-cord on the sleeves. I did just do a regular bind off on the bottom, which I think worked out pretty well. I was nervous about it curling, which it did a bit before blocking, but after blocking it's laying really, really well. So shout out to this wool for being awesome. It's just like exactly how I envisioned, so I'm so excited about it. But the fit is also what I was looking for, and I don't know, very, very cozy. And then, I guess I gotta show the other piece of it. So this is one thing I'm hoping will kind of distract from the aggressive line, and that is the last element here are a couple of pockets that are going to go on the body. So I do have one done, but I still have to knit the other one and sew those on, of course. Let's see, can I do this any better? Yay! Oh my gosh, this is not going well. Yay! There it is. Okay, so it's got that same kind of detailing at the top of the pocket in the contrasting color. So the yarn that I used for this is from Blackberry Ridge Fiber Mill, which is local to me, mill, and I actually got it from one of my local yarn stores that I had no idea sold this. I had the intention of going out to the mill itself to purchase some yarn, but just hadn't made my way out there. And then I stumbled into this yarn shop that was selling it, so I picked up a bunch. This is actually another colorway of the same yarn. This is more of like the rusty reddish brown colorway. The two that I'm using here, I think it's just called light gray and dark brown, so very I don't know exact names for what the yarns are. So yes, worsted weight, pretty basic, but with the little details of the 1x1 color work at all of the edges basically, and then it will have these pockets on here. So yes, I just need to knit the other pocket, sew those on, and this finished object will be complete. This will be a finished object. So talking about the pattern for this, I do have all of my notes and everything put together, and I started just a bit of the grading process. That's not quite complete yet, but my goal is to have a tester call out in the next week, and so I'll definitely be announcing that on my next podcast and over on Instagram as well as soon as I have all of that put together. I want it to get into testing pretty much as soon as possible so that I have a long enough testing time frame first of all, and then also I'm able to release it so people can make it in the fall. I feel like this will be a really awesome fall garment to wear, just super cozy, and I don't know, I'm really excited to have this just myself, and the pattern has been really great to write up, so I'm looking forward to putting that out there and see who else is interested. So yes, no name for this one just yet. Let me know if you have any ideas, but you can expect a tester call for this in next week. And also, I will have to find some more yarn for me to knit a second sample that doesn't have a silly line across the middle. So, Melinda, you know better, and will we ever learn our lessons? Probably not. Oh well, but here it is. No name, new design, almost off the needles. Alrighty, then I have a couple new cast-ons that I will chat about now. So this one is being knit out of the Rowan. I showed this on my first episode, picked it up at my local yarn shop. Norwegian wool, 100% Norwegian wool in the cappuccino colorway. This is a DK weight 2-ply yarn. It's very awesome. I would say it's on like the softer side of rustic yarn if I had to put a description to it, but really awesome to work with so far. But yes, all that I've got at this point is pretty much just the neckline. So my vision for this is going to be a top-down raglan with a turtleneck, mock turtleneck. I don't know what you call this. It won't be like a fold over one, but it's going to be like the higher neckline, but not quite mock because it's like a little bit higher than that. I don't know. And then there's going to be like cable and lace detailing for the raglan basically. You can't really see it at this point. There's not enough there, but it is going to plan thus far. So hopefully I'll have a little bit more progress to be able to show you next time, but this is the beginnings of another design that I'm really excited about. Oh, I guess one interesting thing. So the way that I wanted to do this, because of the way that I wanted to construct this due to how the raglan increases are working and the fact that they aren't just basic ones, I still wanted to have German short rows for this in order to lift up that back neck, and so I was able to do those within the collar. So I think you can tell that the back is longer, and I actually did it within the ribbing is what I meant, within the ribbing of the collar. So it will not interrupt the raglan increases or decreases, and then you don't have to do that as you are working the little cable and lace stitch, so it simplifies that a lot. And I think it'll look nice with the longer collar neckline and everything, and just kind of be hidden within that. So working out well thus far, but not too much to show just yet. It's been funny as I've been going through and putting like the little captions or whatever for my things where it's like self-draft, no name, blah blah blah, and I also am not a huge ravelry-er, so not a lot of details there, but oh well. If you have questions or things, feel free to ask me and I can just let you know, because since I don't have the references on Ravelry or anything like that, but oh well, that's just how I do things, so that's how it's gonna be, I guess. Okay, this one is part acquisition, part new cast on. So I picked up some silk mohair from Love Crafts, and it's the Lana Grossa, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, Super Kid mohair. This is, I think, pretty standard. Yes, 70-30 mohair silk blend. 25 grams is 210 meters, so pretty standard silk mohair. I got 4 different colorways of this. of course, these just have the numbers and not the actual names, but this one is kind of a gray blue. This is color 012. So a bluish gray. Then I got color 115, which is kind of a bronzy camel color that's almost the same as the door. And then this one is color 035, and this is a light gray. It's got a purplish, bluish, cool hue to it. And then finally, this one is 041, and this is a very cool bluish light gray as well. So these, I got 5 balls of each. One of them I only got 4, but I don't remember which one that was, to pair with yarns that I already have. I do have quite a few cones in many different colorways, either whole super soft or Harrisville Shetland. And I was hoping that these would pair well with those cones. However, they don't, which is a bit of a bummer. But I don't know. So I was trying to decide, do I keep it and just stash it? Do I try to make something just out of the mohair? Or do I pair it, just kind of have it be a little funkier? Can I find anything in stash to pair it with? Many questions that I had when I got this yarn. I guess also the reason I got it was because it was like 30% off or something like that. I'll double check and see. I'll put the link below for where I purchased it from on Lovecrafts. I'm not sure if it's still on sale or not, but if it is, then definitely take advantage. So yes. Anywho, I did find a handful of things that it might work with in stash, but not what I had planned based on what I saw online and tried to match there. So I was a little bit bummed and surprised because they are, all of these except for this one, they're way bluer and cooler than they looked online to me. And so that's always the difficulty with purchasing yarn online, is not being able to see what it actually looks like. And sometimes photos are good, sometimes they're very poor, but oh well. So I guess first I'll talk about what I did cast on already, and then some of my potential options for pairing with these. We'll go into that in a second. So to start off with, I was heavily inspired by Inga of Knitting Traditions to knit just a single strand mohair garment, which I literally talked about in my last video about how I don't like layering things. I like being able to just like put on one garment and call it good, but I wanted to knit this, so it's not as much of a product knit as it is a process knit. I think I can still get use out of this because I wouldn't make it if I didn't think I was ever going to wear it or use it or anything, but it's not something that I generally make, so I don't know. Might be eating my own words, but that's just how it goes. People can change their minds, right? So this is the light gray color, the 041. And I am kind of basing this off of the Daily Pullover, also from Pearl Soho, because that is knit on size 3 needles. So I'm basically using that to get the numbers, but modifying it quite a bit. So I sized up a few so that this would be a little looser on me. And the way that that garment is it's got a pretty like deep V-neck, and it's just like a full raglan style fingering weight knit on size 3 needles garment that has that V-neck, ribbed V-neck. And so the way that you work it is working it flat until you join in the round to do the long V-neck. And so I modified it to do my increases more rapidly, so it'll be a shallower V-neck, and I'm just about done with that actually. And I just cast this on last night, so it's, despite the fact that it's been on size 3 needles, it is going fairly quick, just because it's honestly a lot of fun to knit. So I guess maybe I am somewhat of a process knitter no matter what I tell myself. This is not very easy to show. So that's it so far. So the plan is to, oh my goodness, this is my needles just don't want to bend and there's more fabric than needle, but oh well. So we kind of see the V-neck forming. So my plan is I will be joining here in just a few rows, and then I will knit the rest of the body and then come back and pick up for the neckline. And I'm either going to do just like a thick double knit around or just do an applied I-cord edging here. Haven't decided yet what that will be, but I kind of wanted to see how the V-neck fit before I decided how thick I wanted the collar to be. And so I think that I'll be able to wear this like over some dresses and things. Of course, it is going to be far too thin to just wear on its own for how I like to do things. But I am enjoying knitting it. So that's been fun thus far. And it's going to use up this mohair that does not match anything I have in stash as I had planned. So yes, something beautiful, even though it wasn't in what I had, or it wasn't what I expected to use this for. So that is that. And yes, the other things that I got, let's go through and show kind of what options we have and things that I'm thinking about. So we'll start with this. This is Classic Sport 100% Superwash Merino, 328 yards per 100 grams in the color Briarwood, and this is from Autumn and Indigo Fibers. So this one is a pretty good match for the medium gray, purplish color. I thought it was just like a normal medium gray, but it's not. It's got like the purple hue, so I think that is a pretty good match. Now I do have 2 skeins of this, and so that brings me up to like 650 or so yards, which obviously is not that much, but the fact that this is 210 meters and I have 5 balls of this one for sure, so I thought I have about enough to hold this double with this. And I'm like, maybe I can get some kind of garment out of that, probably. Unsure exactly. The alternative is this whole super soft cone in the color Truffle. Now, I don't know if you'll be able to tell. Oh, nice, you can. Okay, so this is a very, very interesting colorway. There's a ton of, like, from far away, it does look just like a kind of grayish brown color, but up close it's got like blues and purples and kind of goldeny colors coming through. And so very, very interesting. And I think I could pair this with that and that would look good. Or this could also go with the 012 for a kind of different style as well. So not sure exactly. I'll probably swatch both of these up to see how they look. But I could definitely get a full sweater out of that, pairing either one of these with the whole super soft cone. I probably could do both with the whole cone because these have, it does not say on the label, but it's 500 grams. And so fingering weight 500 grams paired with mohair, I think I could definitely get 2 sweaters worth out of that. So if I like both of it, we can try it and see how that goes. And then I do have one other option for this bluish gray one, and that is more Autumn and Indigo. Again, Classic Sport. This is the colorway Slate. And that one I think is pretty bang on match. And so I could also, I do have just 1 skein of this though, so it would have to be like a hat or something like that. But it is quite a nice match. So yes, I think something could come of this for sure, but a smaller garment since I just have the single skein of sport weight. garment, smaller accessory. Okay, that is that and that. So yes, then I'm using the light gray for my mohair garment, single strand mohair garment. And this one, I don't really have anything at this point in time, but I do really love this color, so I think it's just gonna live in stash for a while, and we'll see if I find something to pair it with. But for now, I'll just look at it and that'll be it. Oh my goodness. Okay, talking about the yarn. So I was talking to my husband about this and I was like, I don't want podcasting to just be an excuse for me to buy a ton of yarn all the time. Like, I don't need to just build up a huge stash that I'm not gonna touch half of it or whatever it is. And he's like, it's fine if you buy yarn as long as you don't leave it behind. And I'm like, oh, like, I'd clean up my mess, because I definitely have yarn and projects just strewn about the living room and everywhere, and in this spare room I have my yarn that's sitting out in some like piles on the floor and everything. And so I was like, oh yes, like as long as I clean up after myself. And he's like, no, like leave it behind. And I was like, what? And he's like when you die. And I was like, oh, so as long as I knit a lot before I die, that I don't leave too much yarn behind, then I can buy more yarn. So that's the deal that we have going on in my household. So yes, I guess I can buy yarn as long as I have a plan for it and he's not stuck going through it at the end of my days. I don't know. Sorry if that's dark, but I thought it was hilarious. Like, as long as you don't leave it behind. And I'm thinking something nice like, oh yes, like I'll tidy up after myself and won't just have yarn everywhere, and I'll make sure it's organized. But no, like, I don't leave too much behind when I die. That is where my husband's brain was at. So anyway. Silly. Interesting. I just have this that I had been starting on a pair of DK weight stocks. It's like a blackish brown DK weight yarn. Maybe I do have more things to pair than I thought. So I could totally get a hat or something out of this and one out of that. Okay, this is going better than I had thought when I opened up the package and was like, everything is like blue. And oh, wow. Sorry, funny things just keep bobbing in my head. So as you can see, I have these bluer things that made me a little bit sad. I was talking to one of my friends who is one of my fellow knitting in real life friends. And she was like, Mel, when I watched your episode, I was like, everything you're knitting is brown or another neutral. And I look around and I'm like, yes, that is accurate. So I definitely have my color palette, and these like blue hued, cool toned things are making me step out of my box, and I don't think I have anything to go with it, but I guess I do. So yes, I do have a lot of browns and neutrals. That's what I like to wear. So earth tones for the win. Oh boy. Okay, one more sip and one last thing to talk about, and then I think we're done. Okay, so I don't know if everyone saw it. Obviously, I don't know if everyone saw it, but I did put out a video just a few days ago, and that was for the release of the Francis pullover, which is my first ever design. I have it here inside out. Let me turn it. Here it is, Francis pullover. So I've shown this on my other episodes, and then I was wearing it in that little pattern spotlight video. But this is my first design that I've ever put out, and I'm really excited. People have bought it, which I don't know. When I got my first sale, I was like, oh my gosh. So I will share a funny story about how this release occurred, because it's been a little bit messy, I will say. So being my first pattern, Ravelry, I feel like everyone understands that it's not like it serves its purpose really, really well. But it's not like the most easy to use, straightforward, user-friendly website out there. And so I was like, okay, I want to make sure that I have everything in order and that I understand how to actually upload the pattern and connect everything to like the PayPal and all that stuff is set up, so that when I do release it, it's very smooth. So I wanted to work a little bit ahead. So my plan was to release the pattern this week formally, because my testers were wrapping up a few last minute items. I was waiting on some final feedback from a couple people, but I pretty much had everything all set, ready to go. And so I set everything up and I uploaded my PDF, knowing that if I had any other comments or things to update, then I would be able to, based on the last couple testers that were trickling in. And so I posted everything to Ravelry, but I didn't like activate the pattern, which I thought like kept it off and just was like saved as a draft. I didn't activate it for purchase or anything. So fun fact, that still makes it accessible for other people to see. So later on, it was the next day. So I had set everything up on Thursday, and then I was looking, I just went onto Ravelry on Friday and I clicked like the patterns tab, and on that page I saw like debut patterns and my Frances pullover was listed there. And I was like, oh my gosh, what? Like, I posted it? I didn't mean to yet. Like, it's not, I don't know that it's ready. Oh my goodness. And I was looking, I was like, oh, it has this many views and people are looking at it and adding it to their queue. And I was like, this is so exciting. And then I was like, wait, it's not available for purchase yet. And I was like, oh my gosh, I think I'm missing out on sales. And so I was like, I need to list this right away. And I was like, it'll be fine, right? I can always update it or whatever. And so I was like really excited and panicking at the same time. And then I looked and saw that it had been like listed, but of course you couldn't purchase it yet. And so I did end up activating it because I was like, if people are wanting to buy it, like I don't want it to not have the option and then it gets lost or whatever. So I don't know, learning a lot through this process. So then I did list it, and then I went back to look and I was like, how did it get out there? And I guess like people can list things, but not always for purchase. So I'm not exactly sure, if I'm being honest, how all of that works out. But nonetheless, I was very excited because these debut patterns, it's like for designers, new designers who post their first pattern, it's the same idea as like the hot right now patterns where you, like if your pattern gets a lot of views, then it'll be on the hot right now pages. They have one specifically for those debut patterns, and that's listed on the main pattern page, which if I'm going to be honest, like I personally have never really looked at those. But I saw mine there and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Like it was the first on all of those, and it stayed there for a little while, and it can stay there for like 4 days, it says, based on when you first posted it. And so I don't know, it was really exciting. And I was like, that's mine. I made that. How cool. And then of course I was like, wait, is it on the hot right now anywhere? And I think it had made it up to like the 3rd page at one point. So not the first page or top 20 or any of that, but people were looking at it and that was really exciting. And so I don't know, I like, yes, pretty jazzed about that and freaked out a little bit. But yes, so it is posted and it's been up there longer than I had intended, but I think everything should be set now. I got the last bits of tester feedback in. I did actually forget to update one piece of it for the sleeve length, and so I had to already push out an updated version of the PDF to the people that have already purchased it, but it's okay. Whatever, this is my first go around, so it's not going to be perfect. I'm not kicking myself too hard for having that little mistake. Well, a handful of little mistakes, but nothing too tragic up to this point. But I just thought that was really funny because I'm like on Ravelry, I was like, wait, that's my pattern. That's my pattern. It's showing right there. So it's been fun and exciting. But yes, I think everything is sorted out now. Of course, it still may not be perfect, but I don't know, like when I'm making patterns, if there are little things that aren't detrimental to the function and form of the garment, like it's no big deal. So this is my first pattern. There's no way it's going to be perfect or the process will be perfect, and that's okay. I only know how to learn and improve from here, so I've already learned things for the next time, but I thought some of you might appreciate that story because it was a bit of a whirlwind posting that first one, and I've learned a ton. So FYI, if you like post the PDF and list everything, it still can be accessible even if you don't activate it, which there's like an activate button, which I hadn't done, but even if you don't do that, people can still find it. Okay. So funny tale to kick that first ever pattern publishing moment off. But yes, if you would like to find this pattern, it is on Ravelry. And Francis Pullover, I'll put the link below, of course. And then actually in that little spotlight video that I did, there's a discount code. So if you're interested in purchasing, you should hop over there, take a look at the video, grab the code for 25% off. I think that's where I landed. So that will be valid up until August 21st. So you still have some time to get or take advantage of that. Yes, so I think that's all I wanted to talk about, but it's been fun, nerve-wracking, exciting putting this out. And yes, so Francis Pullover, I've shown it a few times. Go check out the pattern spotlight to get more details on this one. Okay, I think that about covers it for news and everything else, all the yarny goodness that I had to share with you today. Final thing, I guess, is what's been bringing me joy. I have one of my dear friends is currently walking the Camino, the Portuguese way over in Portugal into Spain. So the Camino de Santiago is the main one, and this is a 500-mile trek across northern Spain, and it follows the same path. It's also known as the Way of St. James. So it follows the same path that St. James was known to take during the time of his life. He's one of the apostles of Jesus. So they have like a whole cathedral and everything at the end of this route. So Camino de Santiago, I walked this the summer between graduating college and starting my new job. Best experience, like one of the most incredible things I've ever done in my life, was taking that journey. And so one of my friends, she walked it actually the summer after I did with a couple other people, and she's now walking one of the different routes. So they have a handful of ones that start in different countries but end up in the same place in Santiago, Spain. And so she's walking the Portuguese way, and I'm getting to follow her trip, and it's been so fun to watch. And I'm just like reminiscing on my time doing that. It took me 33 days to walk from, you start in Saint Jean Pied de Port. Accent, I'm so sorry anyone who's from Europe that is cringing at my pronunciation, but starting there in France and then walking all along the northern coast of Spain to the western coast where Santiago is, and then you can do an additional like 3 days to get to the actual coast where you just like see the blue out into the ocean. So that was a really amazing experience. So kind of getting to relive that through my friend has been so joyful over the past couple weeks, and she's having a great time despite her and her sister both kind of having injuries currently. But I don't know, it's just been awesome seeing all the photos and things, and I'm a little bit envious of this current trek that she's going on, the adventure she's having, but I'm thoroughly enjoying just observing it from the other side of the ocean. So yes, very fun. If you want to share something that's bringing you joy, I'd love to hear about it. But I pray that you're enjoying your time and finding that wherever you might. Happy knitting to everybody. I will see you most likely next week. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.